fees to her name. Matt Piper, CBS News, New York.
Stock markets closed for the holiday. This is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Hey, it's Mike Rohn. If I have a choice, I like to do business with companies that actually stand for something. That's why I switched from Verizon to Pure Talk. No offense to Verizon, I'm sure they stand for something. I just don't know what it is. Pure Talk, on the other hand, is a veteran-owned company that supports our military in a big way, and I appreciate that. Yeah, I also appreciate unlimited talk and text and plenty of data for half the cost of the big guys, and I do like being on America's most dependable 5G network for just $20 a month, but what I really appreciate is no contract, no cancellation fees, and Pure Talk's commitment to handle all their customer service in this country. I saw it for myself. I went to Georgia, I got a tour of their headquarters, I met their CEO, and I talked to the same customer service folks that you'll talk to when you dial pound 250 and say keyword micro. Switch today and save 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say keyword micro. Pure Talk, a wireless company that actually stands for something.
Europeans appear to be giving Teslas the thumbs down.
Registrations of new Tesla cars fell 84% in Sweden this past August, with only 210 vehicles sold. They were down 42% in Denmark, 47% in France. Intense competition from cheaper Chinese EV models and some supply chain issues partly responsible. But there are signs CEO Elon Musk's controversial comments on race and immigration haven't helped. Vicki Barker, CBS News, London.
It was 10 years ago today that Rowan County, Kentucky clerk Kim Davis denied marriage licenses to gay couples again in direct defiance of the orders of a federal judge. Davis invoked God's authority for her refusal and vowed not to resign, even under the pressure of steep fines or jail time. She would later spend 5 days in jail and is even now, a decade later, appealing a ruling ordering her to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal fees. Christopher Cruz, CBS News.
The views and opinions expressed in this show are that of the show hosts, guests, and callers. They do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the staff and management of Wave 105 FM, Glimpses Media, or any of our partners. As we strive to provide quality, respectful, and engaging content, we welcome you to participate in the conversation. Thank you for tuning in to Wave 105 FM, the sound of Guam. Enjoy the show.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome here to Cop Talk, just about to begin. And the show, of course, is being brought to you by friends over at BKU Roll. Don't forget to vote for them for Pika's Best Burger. At all their favorite locations, you can, all your favorite locations, you can get yourself the new barbecue brisket Whopper. It's available at BKU Roll. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome here to Cop Talk.
All right, buenas and half a day. I'm Analista. I'm the Public Information Officer for the Guam Police Department. I'm really excited about today's show. I do want to give a shout out to who is producing this morning alongside my guests, and I'm going to ask them to formally introduce themselves. In studio with us is Landon. Landon, if I may ask you to give your official work title as well as what you do.
Yeah, I'm the Warning Coordination Meteorologist at the National Weather Service Guam office, and my primary responsibility is really public affairs, external relationships, and taking everything we do in the National Weather Service and relate it to the community through decision support services and stakeholder engagement. It's a fun job.
Yes. Landon Adlid, of course, no stranger. We've known each other for many years. Glad to have you on the show.
Thank you.
And with us as well this morning is Miss Jenna Blas.
Yay.
Hey.
Good morning. Yes, I'm Jenna Bloss with the Offices of Guam Homeland Security and Civil Defense, and I work there, like you, as the Public Information Officer. So we are two PIOs sitting here today.
Yes, absolutely. Again, welcome, Landon. Welcome, Jenna. We're glad to have you. Well, this morning we are going to talk about how the month of September is going to be proclaimed National Preparedness Month. We'll get to that in just a bit. But I just wanted to acknowledge the holiday yesterday.
Yes.
You know, we celebrated Labor Day. And if you work for GovGuam, or even if you didn't, everybody was invited to come down to Ipao Beach to celebrate at the annual GovGuam Labor Day picnic. Were you there, Landon?
I was not there. I was recovering from travel to Micronesia.
Oh, okay.
Yard work.
Yeah.
Preparing for more swordgrass.
Okay, well, I'm sure that you would have been there if you.
It looked like a lot of great photos from the
Yes.
picnic on Sunday, and I think the weather cooperated fairly well for the most part.
Yeah.
Yes, it
after
did.
a gusty, windy, rainy Saturday.
Yeah, that's right. Well, Jenna, were you there?
I actually missed it. I had a soccer game, but I did. I hear that it went really, really well, and it's just nice to have that type of event where you're really celebrating those in the workforce and those in
Yes.
government of Guam. It's just a beautiful thing to celebrate. So I'm really happy that it went off without a hitch.
Yes, and if you happen to have missed it, Crystal Paco posted a lot of photos, a lot of nice, vibrant, colorful photos in the Facebook page.
Yes.
And also, well, I want to say that I was there. This is my first Guam Labor Day picnic in many, many, many years. And it was a really nice atmosphere. Of course, there was a lot of great food and entertainment at the GPD tent. One of the things that my wife and I did was we took advantage of the shuttle service, which was available
smart. Yes.
coming from JFK, right? And then afterwards, we were so full, we were like, let's just walk back.
Let's walk it off.
Yeah, I was like, let's just walk back to JFK. And I was thinking to myself, I'm not in the best of shape, you know. I think this was gonna be a challenge. So I didn't go into this knowing that I would be able to walk it through and actually get to our car back at JFK. But thankfully, the weather cooperated, and I was
Yes.
able to make my way walking up that hill, that JFK hill. That was a challenge, but I felt really accomplished at the end. I'll
Good,
tell you
good.
that for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're glad that we have all had the opportunity to celebrate Labor Day together, and everyone got together and just shared stories, enjoyed company, spread camaraderie. It was a really great time. So
Awesome.
thank you to everyone for making that possible.
Yes.
Well, going to our topic at hand here. September is known as National Preparedness Month. Jenna, can you explain
Yeah, absolutely.
what that is?
Sure. So through the Department of Homeland Security, U.S. Department of Homeland Security, FEMA, our partners with the Federal Emergency Management Agency, through their Ready.gov initiative, they have a campaign for National Preparedness Month, and it was really bred back in 2004 out of all of the events that happened through 9/11. That's why it's happening in September, and it's really an initiative to make sure that the nation is prepared as a whole. Guam has been participating for many, many years, as long as I can remember. I've been there for 11 years now, and we've always participated in National Preparedness Month and really tried to highlight, our island's preparedness efforts through NPM. We call it NPM. So this year we're very, very excited. We have a National Preparedness Month proclamation signing coming up where Governor Leon Guerrero will proclaim the month September as National Preparedness Month. So we're very excited about that.
So what are the details of that proclamation signing?
So the proclamation signing is happening this Friday, September 5th at 9:30 in the morning. It's going to be at the Adelup Large Conference Room. We've sent out many invitations for the community to participate. A lot of our partner organizations, directors, our partners that work in our Emergency Operations Center as well, our federal partners. So we really invited all of those stakeholders that work with us in our Emergency Operations Center. So we're very excited to see our partners come out and support.
So with that taking place on the 5th, right?
Yes.
Today is probably one of the very first conversations that we're having
Yes.
with the island about the National Preparedness Month. Landon, how do you fit into this picture? I mean, I know how you fit into this picture, best described by you, though.
Yeah, the Weather Service, we're all about disasters and preferably preparing for disasters. And so, as Jenna mentioned, it's Preparedness Month. And so that doesn't just include natural disasters, but also man-made disasters. But the Weather Service, we're always leaning forward to prepare and prevent loss of life, mitigating loss of property due to natural hazards. That's weather, typhoons, floods, tsunamis. So we have to always be prepared. And for us in the Weather Service, September is kind of like our holidays because it's a full court press of communications and putting out those messages of readiness, as is June for typhoon preparedness.
I see. And I do remember that being at the proclamation signing
Yes.
in June. So the message behind what you shared in June, it's going to be kind of similar to what we're looking at.
Very similar.
for September.
And so unlike June being just for typhoons and tropical cyclones, this is going to be all hazards. And so that's, again, natural and man-made. And disasters can strike at any moment. And so we always have to be generally prepared, especially in our position in the Pacific Ring of Fire.
Yes. Now, when we talk about national and man-made disasters, just so that we can kind of put ourselves in that frame of mind, thinking about these emergency situations, what are some of those that you could list?
Yeah, our office looks through a variety of them and actually rank them through our threat and hazard identification risk assessment. But for natural hazards, of course, we're looking at the ones that we frequently get: typhoons, earthquakes, tsunamis, not frequently, but it is a possibility here on Guam. And then, of course, if you're looking at more man-made threats, we're thinking about large-scale events that can affect a really large community. It could even be something as big as an active shooter or terroristic conduct or any type of man-made threat, a cyber attack. So all of these types of threats are what we're focused on for National Preparedness Month. What's really great about NPM is our federal counterparts actually give us a theme every year. One year, I remember we focused generally on the Monumku of the community. One year, we focused on the youth of the community. I think just last year, we were focused on Pacific Islanders. The nation was focused on Pacific Islanders, which was great. This year, the theme for NPM is Preparedness Starts at Home. So that's really the initiative that you should start that individual preparedness at home. A lot of times we tout the famous words that you are the help until help arrives. Of course, there are just not enough emergency responders on island to and emergency responders actually go through disasters just like we do. So there are just not enough on the island to go house to every single home to make sure that you're doing okay. So you are the help until help arrives, and that preparedness really starts at home.
I like that theme.
So
you
do
are
I.
the help
So do I.
until help arrives.
Yeah.
And it really hits home, I think, for a lot of us folks who are thinking to ourselves, well, if there's a fire, I'm going to rely on the fire department. If there's a crime that's committed, we're going to rely on the Guam Police Department. And that rightfully is the case. But there are certain things that we can do in our own homes that we are completely in control of and have responsibility for taking care of. So what are some of those examples?
Yeah, so there is a great resource I want to point the community to. It's ready.gov. You'll see a lot of great resources on there for NPM and its theme. But there are some specific steps that they're asking the community to do. The first one is to know your risk, and that's really just identifying what risks are around you. If you're living in a low-lying area, maybe your risk is storm surge or tsunami or flooding. If you're living in an area that's at higher elevation, maybe your risk is higher winds and heavier rains. You know, it just depends on where you are. So knowing your risks, that's the first step. The second thing to do is make a family emergency plan. A lot of times people ask us, what is a family emergency plan? And that's really just identifying all of those what if questions. That's something that we tell the youth of our community. You have so many questions. What if we're separated? What if I don't know who to call? All of those what if questions you want to talk through, and that way you can detail them in your plan. Maybe have an evacuation meeting point for you and your family, having a communication plan, how you're going to get in touch with one another. Detail all of those in your family emergency plan. The next thing you want to do is make an emergency kit. We spend a lot of time on this during our community outreach, and that's really just all of the supplies that you would need to survive, food and water. But we like to tell people to make your kit very specific to your household. So if you have, babies in your house, if you have people that are bedridden or who need medication, you want to make sure that you're including those, what they need inside your emergency kit.
What's considered the best practice in terms of how many days worth of supplies you should prepare for?
Yeah, so you see in a lot of federal documents, especially in ready.gov, 3 to 5 days. And here on Guam, we really promote 7 days worth of food and water. We're looking at 1 gallon per person per day. So if you stretch that out for your family alone for 7 days, that's a lot of water. But it's really about looking at that preparedness and making sure that you're able to at least hit some of those measures and hit some of those on your emergency kit.
I want to revisit that thought, but with regard to the logistics behind preparing this list, but I wanted to shift the conversation over to Landon because earlier you had talked about tsunamis and some tsunami advisories. We had one, several weeks ago perhaps? And Landon, you wrote a very provocative article that I read, and you were talking about it being a fallacy for us to think that we're protected from any tsunamis because of the reef that's out there. Can you explain that further?
Yeah, we've definitely been very fortunate in our lifetimes that we've not had any significant tsunami impacts here locally. I think a lot of times people think that when we have a tsunami advisory or tsunami warning in effect for Guam, that it's going to be a large crashing wave as was seen in 2011 in Japan or 2004 in Indonesia. Fortunately, that's not going to be the case for us, but most of the Pacific Basin